Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the absolute vibrant kaleidoscope that is Indian culture. Think about how a kaleidoscope actually works, right? You've got these distinct, beautifully colored pieces of glass, and when you turn it, boom, they all combine to create this one unified, breathtaking pattern. And honestly, that is exactly how we're going to look at India today. It's a place where incredibly diverse regions, ancient traditions, and dozens of languages all just coexist seamlessly with modern life to form one stunning cultural mosaic. So here's our roadmap for the journey. We'll be hitting the roots of Indian heritage, arts and vibrant festivals, the fabric of daily life, science and shared identity, and we'll wrap it all up with the value of culture. Let's get into it. Starting off with Section 1, the roots of Indian heritage, where we look at the massive historical foundation of the country. To really kick things off, let's test your knowledge about India's immense spiritual roots. We're talking about a land with profound philosophical depth, and it actually happens to be the birthplace of four major world religions. Take a quick second. Can you name all four of them? If you said Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Sikhism, you nailed it. But what's truly fascinating here is that this foundation isn't just about theology. It's this whole holistic approach to life. I mean, these exact same roots gave the world comprehensive wellness systems like yoga and Ayurveda. And these practices focus intensely on creating a perfect balance between your physical body, your mind, and your environment. It's no wonder they've gained such massive global prominence today. Now you've got to hear this Sanskrit phrase, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. It literally translates to the world is one family. Think about how incredibly powerful that is. This isn't just some dusty, ancient saying. It remains a core tenet of Indian diplomacy and social philosophy even today. It sets this wonderfully welcoming tone that actively seeks to bridge cultural gaps right from the very start. And these deep historical roots manifested powerfully in the physical world. Just look at the sheer architectural diversity. On one hand, you have ancient Dravidian styles characterized by these massive, towering, highly ornate temple gateways called gopurams, like you'd find at the Brihadeeswarar temple. But then you contrast that with iconic Indo-Islamic marvels. Those are the ones noted for their majestic domes, arches, and minarets, perfectly exemplified by the Taj Mahal and the Red Fort. You're literally seeing centuries of distinct histories built right next to each other. Moving right along to Section 2, Arts and Vibrant Festivals, exploring the country's incredible creative spirit. Before we jump into the dynamic performing arts that bring this culture to life, let's do another quick mental check. Do you know which two classical epic texts serve as the absolute bedrock of Indian storytelling? The answer is the Mahabharata and the Ramayana. And listen, these aren't just your standard ancient stories or purely religious texts. We're talking about massive, complex, epic poems that have profoundly influenced the entire cultural fabric of the nation. They dictate everything from social ethics and moral dilemmas to inspiring literal centuries of classical art and performance. But the cool thing is, these epics don't just stay trapped in books. They are physically enacted. Whether it's through the intricate facial expressions and specific hand gestures, which are known as mudras, of classical dances like Bharatanatyam in the south or Kathak in the north, the storytelling is vividly brought to life, and it's all set to these distinct musical traditions like Hindustani and Carnatic music. They use specific melodies called ragas and rhythms called talas to weave a really captivating narrative into every single artistic performance. All right, Section 3, the fabric of daily life, where we zoom in on everyday experiences. Now we get to adjust our lens from the grand telescope of history and epics right down to the microscope of highly relatable everyday human experiences. Remember that concept of the world being one family? Well, this foundational phrase, Atithi Devo Bhava, brings that concept right into the living room. It translates to the guest is God. It essentially takes this grand, abstract idea of welcoming culture and turns it into a practical, everyday reality. It demands a level of extreme hospitality and warmth toward literally anyone who visits your home. You see this warmth and deep-seated respect immediately in the traditional joint family structure. The social values here are incredibly tight-knit. You see it in daily respectful greetings like joining your palms for a namaste, which beautifully signifies I bow to the divine in you. You also see it in the immense reverence for elders. A super common mark of deep respect and a way of seeking blessings is actually touching the feet of parents and grandparents, a practice known as charan sparsh. And of course, this communal warmth naturally extends right to the dinner table. India's culinary diversity is honestly mind-blowing, and it shifts drastically depending on the geography. Up north, you'll find meals centered around tandoor-baked, wheat-based breads like naan and roti, paired with these rich, creamy gravies. But head south, and the staples completely flip to rice, lentils, and coconut, giving the world-famous dishes like dosa and idli. Meanwhile, coastal regions rely heavily on seafood, and places in the east, particularly West Bengal, are globally renowned for their absolutely incredible sweets like rasagola. It's not just the food either. Traditional attire shifts dramatically by geography too, really adding to that whole kaleidoscope effect. While the incredibly versatile sari is draped in dozens of distinct regional styles by women across the entire country, men's attire varies widely. In northern states like Punjab and Rajasthan, men often wear intricately tied turbans, known as peg or feta, and these stand as deeply important symbols of honor and self-respect. Contrast that with the southern regions, where the much warmer climate favors comfortable traditional wrapped garments like the lungi or panche. Onward to Section 4, Science and Shared Identity, looking at the logical frameworks that connect it all. Okay, so there is this huge misconception out there that Indian culture is purely rooted in mysticism. In reality, it has always been deeply intertwined with hardcore logic and scientific inquiry. I mean, ancient Indian mathematicians like Aryabhata and Brahmagupta pioneered world-changing concepts like the number zero and the decimal system. They made early calculations of pi, and their ancient astronomy texts correctly identified the movement of planets and the spherical nature of the Earth, long before modern telescopes were ever even invented. Bringing us into the modern era, you might be wondering, how exactly does a country with 28 states and 8 union territories stay united? Well, through incredibly powerful shared cultural obsessions. The massive cinema industry, from Bollywood in Mumbai to the giant film industries in the South, blends traditional values with modern drama, creating this vibrant, shared cultural heartbeat. And then there's cricket. Calling it a sport doesn't quite do it justice. It acts as an almost magical, unifying force that brings over 1 billion people together, cheering as one, completely regardless of their diverse backgrounds. The sheer scale of that unity becomes even more impressive when you consider this number, 22. That is the number of distinct official languages recognized by the country. And we're talking about languages with ancient roots and massive literary traditions of their own, not to mention the hundreds of local dialects spoken across the different states. Finding a shared identity across that kind of linguistic barrier is, frankly, nothing short of remarkable. Finally, Section 5, the value of culture, where we look at the personal experience of it all. To really understand the why behind all this, consider a story from our source material about a student named Divish. He visited the city of Bijapur and was struck by this sudden sense of culture shock right within his own country. He saw people speaking a completely different language, wearing unfamiliar clothes, and eating completely different foods. His mother explained that this was just a different facet of their culture. Now, at the time, as a young kid, he didn't care much. But as he grew older and found himself standing in front of architectural masterpieces like the breathtaking Gol Gumbaz, things really started to click for him. Experiencing magnificent places like the Ibrahim Rauza complex taught him a vital lesson. He realized that culture isn't just a bulleted list of facts you study in a history textbook. It's a living, breathing, sensory experience. You learn the true value of culture by being fully present, by tasting the food, by hearing the distinct rhythms of the different languages, and by witnessing the architecture in person. So what does this all mean for you? How will you experience it? Whether it's diving deeper by attending a live classical music recital, practicing the holistic balance of yoga in your daily routine, or finally visiting a historic landmark in your own region, I leave you with this final thought. Don't just read about it. Step out and explore the living kaleidoscope of unity and diversity for yourself. Because culture is happening right now. What local traditions are waiting in your own backyard for you to finally understand?